What's good, yo? We back, RTTV.
Gang, baby!
Yes, sir. And welcome back to RTTV Gaming, man, where we react to game theories.
RTTV!
Yeah.
FNAF!
We're in this part 2 of the lore of Five Nights at Freddy's, man. We learned about, the history of the machines, the mascots, and Afton, the creator of...
We don't like Afton because, why'd you just put us through what you put us through with the sister location?
Was it him?
Yeah. I don't know.
Or his I guess it was his...
Nah, but
everything
was him because you created this whole junk. You know what I'm saying? Fredbear looking at...
Yeah. So let's learn more about the actual guy who made these things. And according to the first video, went on the murdering spree, that created all these psycho murdering robots.
What type of shit is that, man?
Yeah, I know, right? So let's do it. Game theory: Five Nights at Freddy: The Rise of Afton.
FNAF!
Hello,
FNAF.
Welcome to Game.
And this is game. Oh, I was about to say, I thought it was gonna be the game theories of all the games, because I'm super for that.
Nah, he thought it was Game Freak on Brush It.
We talked about William Afton's childhood dream project of making a singing bear come to life, and the infuriating moment that his dream is copied by a rival restaurant.
Yeah, it was,
franchise
see?
looking to
Chico was the
steal
first
away
one.
Success. The merger of the two franchises results in William meeting Henry, a brilliant designer with a knack for robotics. Working together, they make
A knack for
Fredbear's
FNAF.
flourish, spawning popular Saturday morning cartoon shows, toy lines, and spin-off restaurants under the Fazbear name. When last we left him, Afton was thriving. The world of robotics opening his eyes to new and exciting ways of bringing characters to life. Bringing things to life, yeah, that was his core driving force, his passion. And it was this very passion that would mutate, twist, and morph from here on out in the story. Because with life, there's inevitably death. Something that Afton would become intimately familiar with. But before Afton acquaints himself with death, I want you to take some time to acquaint yourself with our newest channel. Guys, this is a huge moment for us theorists. For the last decade,
Shout out to him.
where things are about to get dark in a hurry.
The Afton era.
1983, business was booming with two whole restaurant franchises running. Fredbear's Family Diner and the newly opened Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. Together, William and Henry had been able to take the hybrid suit idea and make it into a reality. They called their new invention the Springlock suit. And fittingly enough, it was symbolic of the partnership between these two men. A human suit as designed by William that could become a freestanding Henry-style robot. But because it was still new tech with kinks to work out, the rollout was limited. Restricted only to the Fredbear's Family Diner location. All of this meant that William was busier than ever. He didn't have time to be a full-time parent, so he designed a nanny cam system where cameras and speakers were in throughout the neighborhood.
That's the game we played.
His son's favorite toy, Psychic Friend Freddy.
Ah, that's part 4.
Oh, that's part 4, yeah.
But since cameras just weren't enough to raise a kid, he also left childcare duties to his eldest son, Michael. There was just one problem with that. Michael was far from the best babysitter. He tormented his younger brother by jump-scaring him.
Wow.
Constantly left him behind. William watched all of it from his cameras. Kids would be kids.
That's why that one will always blink like that.
Except Michael's torment didn't stop. Bitter, angry thoughts would run through Michael's mind. Why did he have to be the one to take care of this whining crybaby all the time? It just wasn't fair. It was time that he got even with his brother by playing the ultimate prank. A prank that just so happened to be on this crying child's birthday.
Oh my God!
That's what we saw at the end.
He was terrified of doing, getting close to the animatronics. That would be embarrassing for the kid that was such an embarrassment to him. His brother squirmed, screamed, kicked, and fought, but just as they were putting that small, squirming boy up to Fredbear's lips,
And they killed him.
Snapped shut.
Yep.
The sensitive spring locks inside the body had been triggered by the boy's movements, and they'd immediately clamped down.
Wow, yeah, I remember that.
The boy went limp. It was just a prank. It was meant to be funny. The boy was taken to the hospital and was immediately given an IV. Flowers and pills filled the nightstand
I thought he
next
killed
to his
him.
hospital bed. But the damage was too severe. He couldn't recover. As the younger brother's consciousness began to fade, he could hear Michael's last words, a small and flimsy apology. But his father, Williams, through the voice of the Fredbear plush, were a firm and committed promise to a dying son. You're broken. I will put you back together. This would not be the end. No matter what, William's son would live again. It would just take time. Time that, right now, he just didn't have. His young son's heart flatlined as the boy faded into the inky unknown of the afterlife. In the aftermath of the tragedy, changes started happening around the restaurants. Kids were now required to wear security wristbands to prevent anyone from getting outside without parental permission. Any kid who approached the exit without permission would have to answer to the security puppet.
The marionette.
On rails across the restaurant to stop kids in their tracks. It was William's idea, inspired by Michael constantly leaving the restaurant without his brother. In the wake of Fredbear's spring lock failure, all the
Five Nights 3
retired,
phone
locked
guy.
away at the nearby Freddy Fazbear location. It was yet another tough pill to swallow after all the hard work that he and Henry had put into them. William would eventually bury the boy's small body in a remote location out in the woods right alongside his drive into and out of work every day. The death of this little boy sent the family spiraling. His wife, crippled with grief, was so distraught that all she could do was sit and watch TV. But his son Michael was far worse. Complaining of seeing hallucinations of a golden bear standing outside of his window. The boy was so racked with guilt that he was convinced that he was being haunted by the ghost of his brother stuck inside the suit that took his life. The suit's three-toed feet digging into the wet earth. The words "It's me" ringing through.
So is the nightmare him?
Some nights Michael would even go so far as to
Hip
break out
playing
of his
through
room
him?
to check the gravesite and ensure that his brother was
that's
still
interesting.
there. As for William himself, he disappeared into his work and his drinks. Junior's, the local bar, wasn't far from his son's gravesite. He found himself going there more and more frequently, spending longer and longer amounts of time there. The bar gave him a place to think, to remember, to reflect and stew on how Henry had stolen his idea for an animal-themed restaurant. How they cut his character out of the cartoon when everyone else was there. How Henry had humiliated him by buying him out of bankruptcy. And now there was his son. Henry had taken his son from him. The robotic part was the part that failed after all. William ordered one more drink, but it was one too many. The bar turned him out and told him to go home. But William didn't go home. Drunk and angry, William raced back to the restaurant to give Henry a piece of his mind, only to find someone else waiting. Henry's daughter, Charlie, locked outside of the building, bullies laughing at her through the window. Fine, some other problem to fix. But then Afton got an idea. Beautifully awful idea. This was his chance to get back at the man that had humiliated him all.
Don't tell me he's gonna get his daughter killed.
And now Henry's robotic suit had killed his son. It was time for William to do some killing of his own. Let Henry feel what it's like to have something you love get ripped away.
Oh my God.
So he's gonna kill Henry's daughter? That's Henry's daughter?
Yeah.
Charlie in the back alley. It felt good. He felt free. The years of resentment and bitterness trapped in his heart finally released in a moment of pure unapologetic evil. He would make Henry hurt like he hurts.
You just heard his daughter?
In that moment, William became a killer. He dropped Charlie's lifeless body and drove home, forced to confront his family problems later that night, appalled but also a little excited by what he had just done. Charlie's death would remain on the books as a random act of violence. And though Henry had suspicions about William,
He
there was no
bugged
physical
out.
evidence, nothing that could link him back to the crime. In the weeks that followed, Fredbear's family diner would close for good. 2 high-profile deaths around the restaurant with 2 grieving owners in such a short
He
period.
killed this dude's daughter.
Daughter.
Because his son was killed by the animatronic that he created.
Which was ultimately his son's fault, though. His oldest son's fault.
It was the oldest son's
Yeah,
fault.
so like...
But he was
Well,
so
I think,
convinced.
yeah, okay, so I think if you mix the alcohol with the feelings that he had towards, then...
Henry.
Towards Henry, then I would understand how he got to that point. But damn, that's crazy.
That's messed up.
That's messed up.
That's
Because
effed up,
Henry
bro.
didn't purposely kill your... Yeah, it's messed up because Henry didn't purposely kill your son.
And Henry bailed him out.
Yeah.
Right? It was his ideas and business plan that kind of saved him.
Well,
Although he took a lot of his ideas, but
Yeah.
at least he's eating from it too.
yeah, they ended up merging.
Yeah, like-
But he kind of had no choice because he would have never merged if he had a choice.
Alright, let's get back into it.
Period of time is just too much bad press to handle. Besides, Freddy Fazbear's was still open, and it was the newer restaurant anyway. All the equipment from the diner, including the old yellow suits and security puppet, would get retired to that location. And there they would sit for 2 uneventful years. The rest of 1983 and 1984 were spent quietly grieving. Freddy Fazbear's Pizza and the new cast of characters were a hit. Tragic memories of their yellow predecessors quickly faded. Afton kept a low profile and buried himself in work and research, quickly reaching Henry's level of engineering and even surpassing him.
Yeah, I feel like Freddy Fazbear's was like the biggest one when we had all them rooms.
Even starting his own company, Afton Robotics, for all those pet projects that were a little bit too experimental for the regular operations of the pizzeria. The first of these experimental experimental projects was a secret workshop under his house, a veritable bunker. Which
That looks like the
That's-
hallway that you walk in.
Yeah.
Via hidden security
Yeah, this is sister location, no?
Yeah, because that poster, right?
Served
Yeah.
as a constant reminder of why the cameras were so important, why he was down there in the first place. This was all to fulfill the promise that he had made to his son, right? I will put you back together. This was for him, all for him, right? But cameras weren't enough. He needed to solve the runaway Michael problem. He had to keep him in the house. He couldn't have another one of his kids wind up dead inside of an animatronic suit. So why not run a little experiment on Michael? You see, all this work with Henry had gotten Afton to start learning more about life, robots, the human mind, and what a fallible machine we as humans were. Our reality so easy to manipulate with a few sensory deceptions.
Bro.
Like sound. With just
So
a few
part
sounds,
4
he
was
discovered
his
he could
test on
alter
his
a
son?
person's vision. He could transform blank, smooth plastic robots into lumbering, twisted nightmares. Nightmares far scarier than he could create with actual materials. They would appear organic, rotting, putrid, terrifying. These would be his means of keeping his son Michael in the house where he belonged.
Oh my God.
Again, this was the boy who had killed his son. He would make him sorry. So Michael would grow up not only dealing with the memories of his own guilt, the hospital room, the pills, the flowers, the death of his brother, but also facing literal nightmares, illusions created by sound. Michael would never forget these either.
That's why that won't
Years
focus
later,
on
as a security guard,
sound.
He could still draw pictures of them inside of his logbook. But all of these extra projects meant that his home life suffered even more. He was an absent father and a non-existent husband, leaving his wife cold and alone.
Why do you hide inside your walls when there is music in my halls? All I see is an empty room.
That's so freaking
No more
creepy.
joy, an empty tomb.
What?
And despite her repeated demands that he leave his office and engage with the family, he refused time and time again, leaving her no choice but to leave.
You call that a house?
So that's her watching TV the whole time.
Yeah, we're her eating the popcorn, watching TV.
I'm keeping the dynamite.
Wow.
And through it all, there was one.
That's
thing
what happened. We was the sister location.
done. He had gotten a taste of what it felt like to be unleashed, what it felt like to be free. Charlie's murder had unlocked something in him, and he wanted more. June 26th, 1985, putting on the golden Bonnie suit, he lured children one by one to the back room of the pizzeria when no one was
I think
looking.
this is
At
Five
first,
Nights
he was
3.
cautious. He would lure them with promises of cake and cookies. He told them that their dog had died. He would ask for help with homework. Susie was the first. Never truly forget your first. But where to hide the bodies? He couldn't sneak out. Someone would see him. He had to hide them in a place where they'd never be found and where they'd never leave the building. They had to be stuffed inside of the suits. No one maintained those things anyway except for him. And so Susie would go into Chica. Fritz,
Wow.
Jeremy, and Gabriel would come next. But it was easy. It was too easy. And with each little life he snuffed out, his lies got bigger. Their house was burning. They're just being kidnapped. Until the last one where all pretense was off. He let himself get violent. Too violent.
I'll just wait for him after school, throw a bag over his head, hit him with a shovel, and drag him into the back of my car.
The body of Cassidy was far more bloody and broken than any of the others. He let himself go too far. That one he should have killed. With no more active animatronics left, he shoved the body into the one suit that remained backstage. The long-forgotten yellow Fredbear.
That's
Now
Golden
broken
Freddy.
and discolored with age. Broken, like Cassidy was broken. Like his son was broken. Newspapers reported on this disappearance, naming the whole thing the missing children's incident. Police would even charge William with the crimes after finding security footage of the golden mascot suit luring kids to the back. But
Wow.
they weren't convicted. They had no bodies, and his face had been hidden behind the mascot suit the entire time. What they had was circumstantial at best. So he walked away a free man. But
What?
Henry knew the truth. In these murders, he saw his daughter Charlie all over again. So he threw Afton out of the company and shuttered the doors to the old pizzeria. Henry would keep the franchise quiet for 2 years. This would not happen again. This could not happen again. How could he protect the kids? Finally, he developed a solution. He would implement an even more extreme security system in the form of new animatronics. Toy animatronics, inspired by the toys that they had been selling.
Which one is
years
this? This is
ago.
2, I
But
think.
This is
these
2,
guys,
yeah.
These were special. They were a new breed of robot with facial recognition abilities.
But most importantly, they're all tied into some kind of criminal database. So
Which is why you had to wear the mask.
All the original animatronics now withered with age.
Yeah.
Moved to the new location. With a plan in place, it was time to try once more. The year was 1987, and the new and improved Freddy Fazbear's
I remember
Pizza was
that,
making
'cause
headlines in local newspapers. Headlines that just so happened to catch the attention of William Afton. Freddy's was back. without him? That was his idea, his character. Henry was, yet again, trying to cut him out of the picture. No, as long as these restaurants stayed open, William would always come back. Then he noticed the phone number to apply at the bottom of the article. $100 a week to apply call. And he would go back.
That's what we got paid.
Co-founder, he would go back in the one place that they would least suspect him.
We were William Afton.
We were.
And there it was, buried in the
Wow.
parts and services mixed in with the old withered animatronics was the golden rabbit. With the yellow security badge still on his chest, he used his crank to pull open the spring locks. It was time for Bonnie to give an encore performance.
Someone used one of the suits. We had a spare in the back, a yellow one. Someone used it. Now none of them are acting right.
Nah, he worked there before before we
Yeah,
worked there. Okay,
yeah.
that makes sense.
Previous employees. When we get it all sorted out, we may move you to the day shift. So this one just became available.
1987, 5 more kids. He didn't know what felt better, getting back into the suit after 2 long years of waiting, or knowing how devastating this would be to Henry the next morning. He didn't even try to hide his crime this time, just meant more blood
I remember
on
this.
Henry's hands. He'd failed to protect the kids again.
So he did that in the open, like just caught those bodies.
Sure that this would get it to close. Good. If he couldn't have Freddy's, no one would. Whenever a new pizzeria opened, he would be there. But as he sat in his bunkers, something else started to linger in William's mind. He had seen something strange. The old withered animatronics, they had been wandering around the building, spurred on by the puppet. It was almost like those old robots were trying to save the kids. Save them? They couldn't, obviously, but still, how were they moving? It was almost like they had been given life somehow. Did he have something to do?
I remember
The
that.
following day, the news would report a security guard getting bitten by one of the animatronics during the day shift. Was that bite meant for him? William's curiosity was stronger now than his bloodlust. He had to learn more, but how? There was no way he'd ever be able to get inside another Freddy's pizzeria. Heck, there was practically no way a Freddy's would ever open again. He needed to create something new, something brand new. He needed to create his own pizzeria.
Due to the massive success, and even more so the unfortunate closing of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, it was clear that the stage was set, no pun intended, for another contender in children's entertainment.
Circus Baby's Pizza World.
Oh.
This was
Location.
a place where he could continue his work. No longer just murdering.
We haven't gotten this far, right?
He needed
That's
more
what game we
kids,
just
and he
played.
needed
Location.
them alive.
Yeah,
And
Fun
knowing
Time
he could
Auditorium,
show
that's
space
what
on
we
the
just
restaurant
played.
floor, he needed a way of remotely capturing his victims and preserving them for his work. With that goal in mind, he designed a new breed of animatronic. Their endoskeletons fluid and flexible. He equipped them with sound lures that could mimic voices. They could isolate children. They could incapacitate and contain them with zero direct input from him. It was
Sick.
brilliant. He was brilliant. Far beyond the simple bars and wires of Henry's designs. And the characters he chose for this were uniquely his. His new roster wasn't going to be tainted by Henry's disgusting barnyard bird. Instead, it was back to his characters, his creations. Freddy, Bonnie, Foxy, as well as 2 special ones. The first, Ballora, was an homage to the one who left him. Now she would never leave him again. The second, the titular baby, was designed with his baby in mind. Elizabeth, his youngest child. She would always be Daddy's little girl, the one that listened.
So did she just
the
kill us?
one that obeyed until the day that she didn't.
Daddy, why wouldn't you let me play with her?
Oh wow.
So pretty and shiny. Didn't you make her just for me?
That was
The day
just
before Circus Baby's Pizza World opened, she disobeyed. She didn't listen.
Wow.
Left alone with Baby, she got too close. The animatronic ripped in half and swallowed her whole. Scared and confused
Whoa.
child fading into eternal darkness. By the time Afton found her, it was too late. She was gone. He immediately canceled the launch of Circus Babies under the guise of a gas leak. But wait, as he sat there at the foot of the stage, he noticed that something was different. The eye color of the robot had changed. Baby had been built with blue eyes, but now they were emerald green, the same color as Elizabeth's. Was she in there? Could this all be connected to the free-moving animatronics that he had seen at Freddy's? He had to know more. His mourning turned to excitement. He had to return to where it all started. 1993.
Bro, this dude is sick.
No, this whole story is
It's
sick.
sick.
Clearly
Story
tried
is
to
sick,
reopen
bro.
one final time with those old original animatronics from so long ago, but Williams' damage to the brand had been permanent. These things stank of death. They hadn't been washed in decades. But even if they had, nothing could wash away the stink of murder that haunted these halls. One night, then another, then another. William repeatedly snuck into the old broken restaurant to lure the living animatronics to him, one by one dismantling them, robbing them of their endoskeletons. The metal had to be the secret. It had to contain the remnants of life itself. But he had to know for sure. sure. Leaping out of a room that was invisible to the animatronics programming, he dragged the oversized robotic skeletons back to his underground workshop. Back to where Circus Baby watched on with glowing, curious eyes. Eyes that somehow felt alive. Not knowing what else to do, William melted the robotic parts down. 5 animatronic endoskeletons.
Bro, why didn't they try to kill Afton?
That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm just.
Transfer this living metal to his own creations. He had to try.
Wow.
He picked up a syringe and filled it with the molten metal and injected the goo into Funtime Freddy's twisted, wiry endoskeleton. And suddenly the coils came to life.
What?
Like snakes writhing in a pile, what had once been cold, lifeless metal moved and jolted on its own. He'd done it. He had unlocked the secret to
He's
life.
alive!
Something was clearly wrong. The movements were erratic. They were violent, angry. Baby didn't act this way. She had been calm, collected. This was clearly something else. Something mindless and frantic. Perhaps by mixing the souls and then portioning them
Yeah,
out,
that
they
was
created
wild.
incomplete beasts.
5 little kids in there.
To truly understand it, he needed more of this remnant. As he searched the old pizzeria one more time for any remaining scraps of metal, the ghosts attacked. His past
Yes.
had come to collect their due, all led by Cassidy. The 5 lined up in
I remember
front of the
this.
door.
Yeah.
His mind reeled. The scientific implications of this were incredible. Ghosts, real ghosts that he could see, all standing against him. But what could they do? What couldn't they do? He panicked as Cassidy approached. How do you stop something that's already dead? Maybe with the thing that resulted in their death in the first place. He would get into his suit like old times. He would regain his power over them just like the day that they died. He was the genius. He was the one in the suit. He was the one in charge. The spring lock snapped into place. Maybe it was his frantic movements. Maybe it was the leaky, abandoned restaurant.
It killed
Maybe
him.
it was just fate.
The suit
Yes.
killed him, and that's how he got reincarnated
The
in
only
the
thing
suit.
he did know was that his brain was suddenly filled with searing white-hot pain as hundreds of metallic pins and gears stabbed into his body from all sides.
Wow.
All he could do was collapse, blood slowly oozing out of the suit and pooling onto the floor around him. It couldn't end like this. It wouldn't end like this. His work was unfinished.
Wouldn't that make him immortal, though?
His only option was to survive, to live, to keep living. It took days lying in his own blood, but eventually someone found him. A security guard making a normal report. When he saw the animatronics torn apart in the middle of the party room floor, it caused him to file an immediate report of a break-in. An owner would have to come in and claim the damage. And who else would it be other than
Henry.
Hope jumped in Afton's heart. Henry would see him. They were partners after all. He would be the one to help save him, to get him out of this suit, to relieve him from this tremendous pain. Henry entered the secret room. His eyes fell on Afton sitting there in the pool of red. And Henry, saying nothing, turned and walked.
Yes, good stuff, Henry.
Budget restrictions, previously mentioned safe rooms are being sealed in most locations, including this. Documents being taken out beforehand, so if you left anything inside, then it's your own fault. Management also requests that this room not be mentioned to family, friends, or insurance representatives.
And so there Afton would sit.
And this is
hanging on
3.
for 30 years.
Yep.
Trapped behind the walls with an iron will that refused to die.
Wow, that's why he's the only one chasing you
I
in
say
part
this part
3.
because it's not officially the end of the Afton era just yet, but this just felt like a really solid stopping point. The episode has gone on forever. Okay, so most of this is things that we already knew, stuff that's been established and reestablished time and time again by the games. That said, there are 2 things that I absolutely have to address. The first and biggest is the placement of Sister location, or more specifically, Elizabeth's death. To me, evidence in game seems to suggest that it was meant to come before the crying child's death in 1983. The biggest clue to this is that the crying child saw something. Remember what you saw is the phrase that's repeated over and over again by psychic friend Fredbear, aka William Afton speaking through a walkie-talkie in the Fredbear plushie's stomach. But what did he see? Well, I think we can tell based on how the nightmare animatronics are visualized. They have mouths in their stomachs, just like Baby ripping in half at the waist to swallow a kid. There's also the empty girl's room, one presumably left behind by a dead sister. And lastly, it explains why he's scared, and more specifically why Afton wants him scared. He needs his kids to stay away from the animatronics. He doesn't want them getting too close, because the last time one of his kids got too close to a robot, his daughter died. That's then why he sets up the nightmares, to scare both Mike and the crying child away from the animatronics from that point forward.
He's
That's
sick,
why
bro.
That's crazy, bro.
Encyclopedia outright suggests that we play as the crying child in FNAF 4. That's why he has a
FNAF.
cam following the crying child everywhere, so he can keep tabs on his kids when they're out of his sight. He can't let another Elizabeth situation happen. The death of Elizabeth also gives William Afton extra motivation for killing. He's a grieving father. His daughter was taken away from him, so Charlie should die as well. He's lashing out at the world after losing his kids. And again, we know that at least one of his children had to have died prior to Charlie's death, based on the mound of dirt that we see in Midnight Motorist. It also allows Circus Babies to open and close earlier in the timeline, which is how you wind up with Funtime Foxy appearing as Mangle in the FNAF 2 location.
Oh.
Basically, Elizabeth dying first has everything it needs to fit, except for the most important thing, the murder weapon. Why would Afton be building an animatronic with a giant claw in its stomach so early in the timeline? At this point, he just has no motive. It just doesn't make sense prior to 1983. At this point in the story, he hasn't killed anyone. And we know for a fact that the missing children's incident is 1985. So Elizabeth's death coming before any of those events just doesn't work. Hence why I placed it where I did in the narrative timeline. Afton's death here is also a bit tricky. We know that he returned to the FNAF 1 location to break down the original animatronics in order to harvest their remnant. We know that he melts down 5 things to become one thing. Candy Cadet makes that very clear. So the 5 things are the 5 endoskeletons from the various animatronics. That would be totally fine if it weren't for one huge problem. On his 5th visit to the pizzeria, Afton gets spring locked. So either the 5 becoming 1 starts in 1993, but then finishes 30 years later when he reemerges from the wall to add the last endoskeleton to his pile, or he's had himself some reason to return to the original location after harvesting all the stuff that he can. It's not ideal, but it's the one angle that makes the most sense. And with that, this next chapter comes to a close, thereby leaving us with 5 more games to cover and another 40 plus years of Fazbear history to recap.
So we watched this at the perfect time.
Yeah.
So we can't watch the next 5 without playing the next. I mean, the next one without playing the next 5.
Congratulations, you've made it through a massive upload. And hey, if you are still looking for more to watch, then check out the other 5 brand new awesome theories over on our new sister location, Style Theory. This thing literally launched today,
Sister
so this is your
location.
chance to be one of the first people to ever subscribe to this brand new theory channel. Get yourself the bragging rights of being there on day 1 and subscribing. I recommend checking out the video on Killer Heels. I think that one's the best starting spot, and then you just explore the channel from there. And again, if you like what you see, give it a subscribe. It has been a super fun journey so far, and we have ourselves some banger episodes coming up over the next couple weeks. Can you be allergic to color like we see on the show Wednesday? How many t-shirts does it take to stop a bullet? Basically, things that you're going to want to read.
That's actually
So
interesting.
much for your support. Thank you for your subscription. Link is on screen right now. Go
This
over
is-
there. Check out the
First of all, this
channel.
Afton dude
Yeah, William Afton's a sick man, bro.
is
Bro,
like what?
I can't wait to watch the movie.
The craziest
right?
thing to me, the craziest thing to me is the nightmares and how he created these animatronic nightmares. And the theory that he said he created these nightmares to keep them to one, keep his son in the house. That's wild. You created animatronics to keep the son in the house. Remember the
Nah,
last
it wasn't animatronics. It was like audio cues to trigger these visions of
the
seeing
nightmares.
animatronics. Yeah,
Okay,
so they weren't really in the
there.
house.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you create these nightmares, these audio cues to keep your son in the house. You know how much that will destroy? How much that could destroy a man as he gets older? That's crazy.
Especially because he feels responsible about killing
His
little brother anyway. Like, whoa.
And then, like, the only thing that kind of confused me a little bit was at what point did these other animatronics, because I feel like because he was stuffing the bodies in the animatronics, the souls of the kids were in the animatronics. That's how they came to life, right? When you're a security guard, what drove these animatronics to kill these security guards? Was it because they had the criminal intent? Were they adults? Because they said that the animatronics ultimately were trying to protect the kids.
Well, he said that that the animatronics were somehow protecting the kids.
Yeah, because they were
that's
trying
what
to
I'm
stop
saying.
him from killing the kids.
Yeah, because
So the animatronics knew that they were being used to kill kids somehow.
Yeah.
Like, we don't know the logic to that, but that's what kind of intrigued him, because he was like, how do these things have life form? And that's why the last part he ends up getting killed by the animatronics, because he melts all them together, and they were supposedly the life force for the kids that
But
he had
that's why I'm
murdered.
confused. Like, I know he was trying to protect the kids, but like, why? Maybe I missed something, but why was he trying to kill the security guards? Like, anytime you were, they got, because like what
Nah, they weren't
implied-
trying to kill the security guards. They said that a security guard was bit, And the reason it was bit is because he believed they thought it was him. Because remember, he worked as a security guard to actually get the animatronic, the initial one first. Because he couldn't get into a Fazbear's because he was banned.
So the security guards, if there were other security guards working there, they thought that it was this dude.
They thought it was Afton.
So that's why they were attacking those
Correct.
people. Oh, so they're not really... So the Freddy animatronics aren't really bad. They're just confused and angry.
Well, they're murdered children.
Yeah,
that
murdered children.
Afton
Yeah.
essentially
And
killed.
they want to kill Afton. Okay.
Man, what's worse than that though? Oh, that's terrible, man. But Doug, you smoked bro's daughter?
Crazy.
That's crazy.
That's why I'm so glad when he walked in, he looked at him and just walked away, bro.
Dog. Oh
And
my
I had a
God.
feeling he knew that what's the other guy's name?
Henry.
I had a feeling Henry knew that it was Afton in the animatronic and that it killed him.
No, he knew.
They said he knew, but he couldn't prove it.
Yeah.
Because there was no murder weapon and stuff. So
No. Not
after
the
he was in
murder. I'm talking
Springtrap?
about when he was in the Springtrap. Because one of the things that they brought up was anytime somebody worked there, they talked about the room that he was in, and he was like, "This is sealed off. Don't bring this up to anybody. Don't bring this up to investors. Don't bring it up to tax people. Don't bring this room up to anybody."
Yeah,
So
because
he
that's where they
knew-
put Afton's dead body.
Yeah, he knew that Afton's dead body was there.
Yeah, he knew that. Yeah.
Wow. And then you tell anybody that kind of implicates Henry in the murder of Afton. If that investigation gets open.
Clearly, whatever town this is, they ain't too good at solving murders, bro. This dude Afton just went on a goddamn murder spree of children and animatronics, and they couldn't piece it together.
That's crazy.
You know what I'm saying?
In his own establishment.
Yeah. So it's like at that point, bro, when an animatronic kills you, you think they gonna be able to figure that out? Shit.
Wow. That is a crazy timeline. And honestly, bro, I would love to. I hope the movie dives into it a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I would love to see them explain that a little more.
Is there more than one, or just
There's
it's
only
one?
one.
It's a one and done.
It's Five Nights at Freddy 1, so I'm thinking it's part
I think
one.
they're gonna do a second one, but when you watch it, Lord, you understand why they're able to turn it into a movie, because that's a crazy story, bro.
Yeah.
It's wild, bro.
Wow. All right, guys. Well, we got to play some other Five Nights at Freddy's games before we get into any more lore videos, but we hope you enjoyed the first two we reacted to. Stay tuned for more of them and more Five Nights, and we hope that you enjoy our sister location walkthrough, which was stressful.
I hope the other games aren't as stressful as Sister Location. If they are, I will be throwing a shoe across the room.
They supposedly have a date already, December 5th, 2025.
For part 2
Mhm.
of the movie?
Mhm.
Oh, okay. Dope.
Mhm.
All right, guys.
So many people were so excited for that movie.
Wait, this might be it right here. Teaser. Oh,
For real?
18K. Day ago? I don't know.
Nah, that's not a real.
Yeah, I don't know.
If it's that slurp thing, then that's a fan made.
I believe it's coming though.
Yeah.
Right, y'all. It's your boy Wells, the Anime King.
Yo, FNAF is crazy. Afton is a tapped individual.
Facts.
Yo, it's a maniac.
It's your boy DC.
And that settles it at
The Round Table.